The moon of Walla around Arccore doesn't seem to play much of a role in Star Citizen these days. I find it's rarely ever visited, but it's one of the most unusual and beautiful places, and when I'm feeling pensive or I just set the game into idle, while I go and do something else, I'll often land a ship here, power down so I can't be found, and just hang out because, look out the window there. The scenery's so nice. And as I was sitting here being pensive, I got to thinking about the concept of cool landings. You know, landings like you see in science fiction movies where the ships don't just zip down and pop into a landing area in moments. That's something we see in games like Star Citizen and Elite Dangerous. And it usually happens because people are in a rush to get from A to B and because they're afraid of being blown up while they're landing. However, you can't beat the style behind a cool landing. Plus, as a guy who does a lot of flight sims and flies drones professionally, well, I've learned the value of a gentle landing over the years, and it's very counterintuitive for me to make a fast, rough landing. So I like to come down slow and graceful in a way that I know if the ship were a real ship, it would survive. So I've just taken off from some nameless plane in Walla, and we're going to fly over to one of the many beautiful places filled with the green crystalline stones. I don't know what they're supposed to be, but they're all over. We've dropped the landing gear and activated the VTOL, and now we're just going to approach that little green plane up ahead and see if we can find ourselves a nice level place to set down. If you have an MSR or one of the larger ships, you know that finding the right place to sit down can be a little bit of a trick, and it's especially so with the MSR. It's a wide, round, saucer-shaped ship with a 3-point landing carriage, but that's not the real problem. The real problem is that turret underneath it. You have to make sure that the ground is quite level below you, and there aren't any rocks just about where the turret touches the ground. Alright, that place just a few degrees off to port will do nicely. We'll just line up and decelerate now. So now that I've come to a complete stop, we're going to begin a very slow and graceful descent. Just watch for a moment. The descent is slow and smooth and steady. And if you're wondering how I do this, it's not at all complicated. For starters, make sure your acceleration limiter is configured to an axis controller and not merely a button such as on your keyboard, because you're going to need precise control of this axis. You could use a virtual axis control like you could make with the app called Matrix, and that's a topic we'll go into at another time. But to me, nothing beats an actual physical control that you can feel, especially when it comes to dealing with axes. For managing occasionally used axes like these, axes which, when they are used, must be precisely handled, well, there are a lot of good but pricey devices out there. However, I just used the venerable but reliable Logitech G Quadrant, which is available on Amazon.com for $60 and Amazon.ca for $80. Then just gently dial down your acceleration limiter, which, when you are at a complete stop, will decrease power to your vertical or VTOL thrusters. And if you're on a world or a moon with gravity, that will allow your ship to begin a steady, controlled, and impressively graceful descent. It's not the fastest way to get on the ground, but it provides for a very smooth, cool landing. And to me, it's just more immersive. Landing a ship properly really makes it feel more like a ship. And when it comes to simulators, isn't immersion what it's all about? Have fun and try this trick to impress your friends.